welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagwani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Aryabhat College, University of Delhi. So in our previous lecture, we started with the concept of Java Database Connectivity. We understood what is that JDBC, and we also looked into the architecture of JDBC. Now, as an entity, I have told you that this JDBC is actually an application programming interface, which is API, and it provides various, or we can say numerous interfaces and classes. Now, what are these, common components of this JDBC that we will be looking into in this lecture? Then we will start with what are the steps through which application program can be connected to the database, and then we will be looking into the examples of this. So, if we talk about common JDBC components, the JDBC API provides various interfaces and classes. As I have told you, we will be looking into the common or more prominent ones. So, the first one is the driver manager. This is actually a class which manages a list of database drivers. So, please recall the previous figure which I have showed you in the previous lecture, where various databases are being connected to the applications, and all this is being handled with the help of a driver manager. This driver manager actually matches the connection request from the Java application with the proper database driver using some communication sub protocols. So, looking for the proper database driver is the we can say responsibility of the driver manager, and the first driver that recognizes a certain sub protocol under JDBC will be used to establish a database connection. So, we have various drivers which is going to be used to establish a connection, that is one who is going to recognize a certain sub protocol, and all this kind of management is responsibility, or we can say is the duty of the driver manager. Then apart from this driver manager, we have one more thing, which is one more component of JDBC, which is driver. This is actually an interface which handles the communication with the database server. Now, one can interact directly with the driver's objects very rarely. This is actually a kind of a rare situation. We are going to use driver manager objects, and these driver manager objects will in turn communicate with the driver object. So, we will be using these driver manager objects which I just explained, and these driver manager objects manages objects of the type driver. So, that means it will abstract the details associated with the working of driver objects. So, as a programmer, one must not need to go into details of the kind of we can say the working of the driver objects, because we have a one level of abstraction or one kind of wrapper we can say which is named as driver manager, and that level of abstraction is available on top of this these driver objects. Now, apart from this driver manager and driver, one more interface we have, that is the connection. So, this connection is there which is going to interface with all methods for contacting a database, and the connection object. So, that here this connection is going to be in the form of an object. This represents the communication context. Now, what does this communication context? All the communication with database is going to be done only through this connection object. So, this connection is going to represent the whole communication thing I can say. Then apart from that, we have statements. Statements in the sense, these are the objects which are created from there are objects which are created from this statement interfaces, and they are used to submit the SQL statement to the database. So, for example, we have an SQL statement in the form of create, or we can have an SQL statement in the form of a query, let us say kind of select. So, the objects created from this statement interfaces are used to submit these SQL statements which I just talked about to the databases, some derived interfaces accept the parameters in addition to executing stored procedures. So, as I have told you in my previous lecture that it is not only the statements, or it is not only the ready-made statements which are available in the SQL thing. The stored procedure can also be kind of executed with the help of this JDBC thing. So, some derived interfaces accept the parameters in addition to executing the stored procedures. Now, let us say one with the help of connection object, one must have kind of sent a statement to a databases, and database has kind of given some kind of a reply, which is obviously actually a data. So, now we need something in order to store that data, or something in order to some kind of a container, some kind of a variable to kind of fetch that data, and here comes into the picture which is named as the object which is named as result set. So, these objects hold the data which are retrieved from a database after one is going to execute an SQL query using a statement objects. So, a connection has been established. Now, using a statement object, a SQL query was fired, and then there was there was some data which came as the result of that SQL query, and we need some objects to hold that data which was retrieved as the result of query, and that object here is known as result set. So, this result set actually acts as an iterator to allow you to move through the data. So, for example, we have received 10 rows of something, or 10 rows of a particular table which are received as an as a response to the SQL query. Now, this result set will act as an iterator, and then using that iterator we can move from one particular row to another, and in this way we can move on through the whole result set. Now, apart from the result set, we have one SQL exception which is a class for handling any errors that are going to occur in a database application. So, if there are any errors which are going to be there, then we need to handle them properly, and for that we need an SQL exception. So, basically if I am going to look into this whole process of whole process in which JDBC API is going to handle the database using the Java program, this complete process can be divided into three macro level steps. One is the connection to the database. Another one is execution of queries and update statement to the database, and third one is retrieving the result received from the database. Now, why I am saying these are macro level? Because when we will be connecting to the database, we will be kind of handling the driver manager, which in turn will handle the driver object, and so on and so forth. Then these queries will be executed, result sets will be formed, and then these kind of results retrieved result sets will be we can say iterated through in order to have a complete data complete flow of the data, or in order to have the complete data. So, in this Java database connectivity, there will be 5 steps in order to connect any Java application with the database when done using JDBC. So, first is registering the driver class, second is creating the connection, third is creation of the statement, fourth one is execution of queries, and fifth one is closing of connection. And with these 5 steps, we will be able to kind of we can say perform the whole task of connecting the Java application with the database, and that database that could be any type of database, and this is what we are going to do through the whole JDBC thing. Now, when I am saying registering the driver class, creating the connection, creating the statements, or executing the queries and then closing the connection, First of all, let us look into all these steps into the detail. We will be looking into the general syntax of the code for these particular steps. We will be looking into the examples, and then after looking into these all these steps individually, we will be looking into them in a kind of, we can say, in a consolidated manner with the help of a comprehensive program. So, first of all, let us understand what is this registering the driver class means. So, this registering the driver class means, that means we need a method in order to register the driver class, and this method is named as for name method, and this for name method is of class. Class as in capital C is of the class. So, a class is there which is named itself as class, capital CLASS, and that class is having one method which is named as for name, and that for name method is there which we will be using to register the driver class. What is the functionality of this method? This method is used to dynamically load the driver class, and the syntax of for name method is as it is given on the screen. It is a public static method returning nothing. So, void name void. So, public static void, the name of the method is for name, and within the bracket we will be passing on a string as a parameter, and that string is nothing but a class name. But if that class name is not is not being found, then this may throw a class not found exception. So, that means the whole syntax of the for name method will goes like this: public static void for name, within the bracket string class name, throws class not found exception. Now, here on the last statement of the screen, you can find this general syntax of the for name method. I am repeating it here again: public static void for name string the class name, throws class not found exception, and then we will be looking into the example. So, what is the example of this for name? So, we have a Java program which is loading, let us say, a Oracle driver in order to establish the database connection. So, as the method I have told you is a public method and also a static method, we can directly call this for name method using the name of the class, which is nothing but class itself with the capital C. So, class dot for name and the string, that means the class name which we are going to pass here is oracle dot jdbc dot driver dot oracle driver. Please notice the case sensitivity or in the name of this class, which is oracle dot jdbc dot driver dot oracle driver, and within this oracle driver O and D are named as capital. So, for example, a Java program is loading Oracle driver in order to establish a database connection to a Oracle database. The statement, for name statement or the use of for name method will go like this: class dot for name and the class name here in within the parameter. So, this was the example. Now, after that we need to create the connection object. Now, in order to create the connection object, we will be using the get connection method, and this get connection method is available inside the class driver manager, and as the name indicates, it is used to establish the connection with the database. What will be the syntax of this get connection method? Now, this can be kind of used in using two different signatures. One is public static connection. Connection is the here I can say this connection is the return type of this get connection method. So, public static connection get connection, in the bracket we will be passing the URL in the form of a string, throws SQL exception. Another format in which we can use, or another signature through which we can use this get connection method is public static connection get connection. Along with the string URL, we will be passing two more strings. One is the name of the database and another one is the password to access that database. So, username and not the name, but the username and password, which is kind of we can say which was set at the time of installation of that particular database. If that is required, we will be using that. So, not only the URL of the database, but also the username and the password are required here. So, in one kind of signature only the URL thing was there, and in the another signature, so that means here is an overloading of the method, and in the another signature along with the URL we have the username and the password also, and this also may throw an SQL exception. So, in order to handle that we are using a clause throws SQL exception. Now, what is the example of this? So, example here is connection conn is equals to driver manager dot connection. So, the object conn of the class connection has been made, that means a reference variable has been created, is equals to driver manager dot connection, and within this we have kind of used the second signature which I just described, that is one with the URL and the username password also. The URL here is JDBC Oracle thin JDBC colon Oracle colon thin colon @localhost 15 colon 1521 colon XC double inverted commas close, because one parameter is completed here. The second parameter is system within the double inverted commas, and the third parameter is password within the double inverted commas. So, I am repeating it here again, connection conn, that means a conn of an object which is named as conn of the connection class has been made, and whatever result is being kind of is being obtained by having this get connection method of this driver manager class will be stored in this conn, because this is going to give us, or this is going to give us fetch us a object of type connection. So, whatever object reference is being returned, that will be stored inside conn, and then we have used the whole kind of URL where this database is, and what is the system what is the username and the password of that particular database for which we have just defined the URL. Apart from that, so here till this point we have just created one connection, and we have also used the driver manager class in order to get this connection, and before that we have registered the driver class. So, we have seen two steps. One is registering the driver class, we have seen the example also. Second, we have seen the connection how to create the connection object. And now, the third step which comes into the picture is creation of the statement object. Now, after this connection object, we need to create an statement, and create an statement will be done, or creation of a statement will be done with the help of create statement method, and this is of the interface connection. This is used this create statement method is used to create the statement. The object of the statement will be responsible to execute the queries within the databases. So, how are we going to use this create statement as public statement create statement throws an SQL exception. So, create statement is the method, and here in this version we have not used any of kind of parameters within this method, and this is going to return this is actually a public method, and this will be returning an object statement. And the example here is the statement STMT is the name of the object is equals to conn dot create a statement, and this conn is actually the kind of reference variable of the connection interface. Sorry, that was not the class but the interface. So, that reference variable of that interface is being created, and that is being used, or the create statement method here is being used with the help of that reference variable, which was created in the previous step and named as conn. So, statement stmt is equals to conn dot create statement. We have this this whole syntax in order to create a statement or in order to create a SQL statement. Now, the next step is execution of the query. So, first step was the registering of the driver class, second was creation of the connection, third one was the creation of the statement, and now after creation of the statement we will be executing the query. And for this, the execute query method of the statement interface is used to to execute the queries which are being kind of diverted to, or which are being fired to the database. And this method returns the object of the result set. So, result set is being returned in the form of an object that I have already discussed, and this result set object can be used to get all the records of the table, and then as an iterator we may use this result set can be used as an iterator here. So, syntax of execute query method will go like this. This execute query method is going to return a result set. So, and it is a public method. So, the statement so the syntax will be public result set execute query, and within this within this method we will be passing the whole SQL query as a string. So, for example, the SQL query is select star from let's say database is there EMP. So, select star from EMP within the double inverted commas, that means as a string we will be kind of passing that to the execute query method as a parameter. This execute query method may throws an SQL exception in case of any exigency. So, in order to kind of handle that, we have written here throws SQL exception, and this is a public method. So, these access modifier is public here, and this is going to return, or this is going to respond in the form of an object of the result set. So, public result set execute query, the query as a parameter throws SQL exception. Now, in order to look into the example of this, let us see. So, here we have result set RS is equals to statement stmt that we have created in our previous step. So, statement stmt dot execute query, and as I have told you, the query is select star from EMP. Now, what has been happened after the execution of this statement? There is a result set named as RS, and within this result set all the records of employee table are being kind of let us say we can say stored. Now, in order to use this RS as an iterator, as I have told you earlier, we will be using this RS inside a while loop which says while RS dot next. That means till you have the data available or the records available within this result set, you need to print some information from this result set. Now, what is that information? That information is RS dot get int, and within the bracket we have written 1. This is the actually kind of we can say field in a kind of normal language. We can say this is the field number of this result set RS, and that is an integer. So, that we that is why we have used it with RS dot get int plus RS dot or kind of plus plus some blanks in order to have in a presentable format. We have rs dot get string true. So, that means the second variable I am talking about is going to be an string. So, rs dot get string 2. So, whatever kind of the first we can say field which is available inside this rs, and that field has come from EMP. So, for example, we have an EMP ID and the name. So, that EMP ID as integer by rs dot get int 1, and that the name of the employee by rs dot get string 2 will be displayed on the screen. So, in this way we can have all the hold all the information which is stored inside this result set rs. And the final step of this whole procedure is closing the connection object. So, by closing the connection object, statement and result set will be closed automatically, and we have a method which is named as the close, and this is of the connection interface which is used to close the connection. And the syntax also here is very simple, which says public void close throws SQL exception, and if we want to close the connection which we have made in this example, so we can use conn dot close. So, here we have seen what are the 5 detailed steps. One is registering the driver, another one is creating the connection, third one is creation of the statement, fourth one is the execution of the query, and fifth one is the connection closing of the connection. All these steps we have seen into the detail along with their general syntax and examples. And now in our upcoming lecture we will be looking into the complete examples which will be using all these steps which we have just studied, and that complete example in the form of a program we will be seeing into our next lecture. Here is a list of references which is being used for the preparation of lecture. I hope you have I hope you must have kind of had a patient hearing. Thank you for enjoying. I will see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Goodbye.